Alright guys, I wanted to talk just a few minutes about peat moss. Most of you know we run strictly peat moss all season. And of course later in the season we use salt and antifreeze and things of that nature, but now this is my opinion only, but when it comes to trap bedding material, wax dirt is hands down the best. It doesn't freeze. It completely repels your water. It's completely odorless. However, it's expensive to buy. It's very heavy to haul around, and it's sometimes time consuming to make. So folks choose not to use it. One of the reasons we don't is because we don't have the time, all the time to make it with as many traps as we run. So we run straight peat moss. Now, a couple things I want to talk about peat moss. It's very cheap, it's inexpensive, it doesn't cost you much. But one of the major problems folks make, or mistakes they make, is they go buy peat moss. That's of course it's in the cube and it's been sitting. They open it and it feels like this. This is straight out of the tube or out of the cube. It feels relatively dry. And of course you can see the powder and things of that nature. However, I've fooled with this stuff long enough to know that this is not dry peat moss. And again, this came out of the cube straight from Lowe's. It was under the bay, supposedly out of the weather, but it does retain moisture, I'm telling you. So what guys do is they'll wait till trapping season and they go buy this and then they bed their traps with it, and we get multiple messages from guys saying, my trap's freezing up, my trap material's freezing up. And it's because, listen to me, it's because you go buy peat moss and you don't prep it right. And of course some guys don't want to hear that, but you go buy peat moss during trapping season and you try to use it, when it gets really cold, it's going to freeze on you. Okay? So this is just pretty much how we do it. And take it or leave it, you do what you want with it, but we take a bucket, and this is just hardware cloth, very small holes. You can even make a wooden, lots of guys that are really crafty and have the time to do it, they'll make a wooden frame that fits right over a 5-gallon bucket, and of course they put hardware cloth in the middle and it sits right down on top of it, and that works great. That's awesome. I don't have the time or the patience to do that, so I just cut me a square piece of hardware cloth. Take your peat, and this is important. I don't know, hopefully you can zoom in on this. This is again straight out of the cube, and just by looking, of course you'll see once we sift it while we do this, but when you look at this, there's chunks of a little bit of everything in there. And of course this is a small piece of wood, and this will break your heart. This is enough to absolutely bind your jaws and cause you to miss predators. If your trap tries to close, the levers, the jaws or anything, it catches that in it, it's going to give that animal enough room to get out. So when you buy your peat moss, you don't have to sift it. I mean, you can pour it straight in a bucket, take it straight to the field, and it's going to freeze up on you, and you're going to miss animals because of this. And of course, at the end of this video, I'll show you the bucket of what we get out of this stuff, and you'll be able to see that. So, again, I got basically a trash bucket. You basically take your moss. Of course, you're going to be able to see in this video real quick. Alright, that's probably enough for now, but look, if you'll zoom in on this, zoomed in good, that is all trash. Every bit of that is trash. It serves you no purpose as a trapper, and it will absolutely cause you to lose animals. Please take the time You owe it to yourself, you owe it to the animal that you're trapping to sift that stuff out of there. All you got to do is run it through that hardware cloth, dump it in a bucket, do it again. There you go. All that's trash. Now, I'm not going to sit here and do this whole bucket because I can fill 8 5-gallon buckets up with this stuff. And I'm going to show you. This is a sifted bucket of peat moss. Okay? And hopefully you're going to be able to see this on that video. It is clean. I mean, it is just smooth and clean. Absolutely nothing in this bucket will keep your trap from closing the way it's supposed to. Okay? Now, last thing. When you sift this in these buckets, please do it well ahead of time. Give yourself a chance. Take these buckets somewhere where it's going to be really hot and really dry. What we do is we use our attic. Okay? We take all these buckets to the attic, and of course you can see this stuff is just super dry. I don't know if you can see that powder coming out of there, but leave that in your attic during the summer months and it'll absolutely dry it out. Last thing before we go. When you're drying it out, don't put the bucket lid on it. Okay? A lot of folks put that in their attic and they got the bucket lid. And think about it. If there's moisture in this, you've got to have somewhere to go. Okay? So if you take this to your attic and you put that lid on there and you clamp that down tight and you leave it sitting in there, when you pull this lid off, I promise, there's going to be moisture all over the top of this lid. And it's going to, if there's moisture on this lid, then it means there's still moisture in this bucket. Okay? So attics work great. Take it to your attic, take it somewhere hot and dry, leave the lid off, let all that moisture get out of there. And then what I do after that is I basically put the lid on it, put it in my garage, keep it stored, and then I'm ready for trapping season. So again, wax dirt probably in my opinion is absolutely the best, but if you can't afford it or you don't have time to make it or you don't know how to make it and you're not willing to learn, get yourself some peat moss. Very cheap, inexpensive, not going to cost you a whole lot of money. 1 cube I think will do about, depending on how much stuff's in it, usually we get about 7 to 8 buckets of peat moss out of that. Okay? If you have any questions, holler at us, but if you'll do this and you'll use this when the weather turns to crap and it's cold and it's rainy and it's nasty, which is generally what happens during trapping season, this stuff's not completely waterproof, but absolutely if you dry it like you're supposed to, you're going to see it repel the water like crazy. I mean, it's absolutely great for sloppy conditions. It's not going to cost you a bunch of money, but please sift it, do the right thing, and I think you have good luck with it. If you need us, holler at us. Love to help you. Catch you somewhere else down the line.